Hey guys, story time. How I got misdiagnosed. Bye.
So when Kalei was born, we had her on sensitive Similac to help with her tummy. We didn't really think anything of the sort. Around 1 or 2, she started doing these crunch things, whether it be over the couch, on the ground, but they were like crunches, and she would ball her body up, and then she would start breaking out into really bad sweats. She'd either fall asleep or she's just staring into the abyss. Like she couldn't talk. There was just nothing. When we moved to Arizona, that's when it started getting a little on the bad side. So we started taking her to the doctor for her stomach issues. We didn't get any help, so we still didn't know what was wrong with her. When we moved to Hawaii during COVID, we started taking her to the doctors again. And if anybody knows Hawaii and military, we were stuck to going triple air. But we thought it was a step in the right direction, or at least we thought. Well, we started taking her to her appointments. It went from stomach issues to behavior issues. What they were trying to tell me is that around the age of 4, my daughter was making herself feel good, which is where the crunches were coming from. Now, I tried to make sense of it, because how did we go from having stomach issues to your daughter's at the age where she's exploring type of issues? It didn't make sense to me. They tried to refer her to a therapist, which again made no sense to me. So because we were on Prime, we were essentially just stuck at Tripler. And that's kind of where we were at. We tried to continue to take her to get different answers on her stomach issues, but essentially they were stuck on her being developmentally appropriate to make herself feel good. A little down the line, it went from stomach issues to behavior issues to potentially having absent seizures. With the numerous photos I had shown them, the numerous videos, they thought it could be absent seizures. So they did order tests to get that checked out. And no, it definitely was not absent seizures. So we hit a dead end in Arizona. We hit a dead end in Hawaii. And then we moved here to New York. Moving here in a very, very small town, we had to get referred out of the city. So we started taking her to Syracuse to help with her stomach issues. Every place we went did start her off with a cleanse, which was to dope her up on laxatives, essentially. They put her on Miralax, they put her on all types of things to help her go potty. And my thing is, if you dope anybody up on laxatives, essentially they're gonna go to the bathroom. Everywhere we went, they put her on a cleanse. 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. Not sure how many months they kept trying to put her on a cleanse, but they did. Essentially, they didn't find anything wrong. When we went to her regular pediatrician because her specialist said there wasn't anything in there. They did say they may have had to scope her, which I think it was the process of getting her checked to see if she had celiac disease that was kind of scary because she was so young. Now, the crazy thing is, her pediatrician had diagnosed her with celiac disease. And we were just like, holy shit. Did we finally get somewhere? Like, is this the reason for her stomach issues, having issues to poop, all these things? So she was diagnosed with celiac disease. We let the school know, we let her cheer know, we let everybody who needed to know that she had celiac know. Now, the confusing part is, while we were still taking her to her pediatrician and still taking her to her specialist had lost it, because you can only get diagnosed with celiac if you do the procedure. She didn't do the procedure, but she was diagnosed. But because appointments were so far out that by the time we went back to her specialist or back to her pediatrician, like, months had already passed and things have already been happening. For her school, we had let them know that she had celiac disease. And I fought with the school to try and get her gluten-free options. And essentially I was told the easiest thing to do was send her to school at lunch. My thing is, while yes, it was the easiest thing to do is to send her to school at lunch, if I send her to school, why is she not being provided with options? Now, I feel like it kind of got tricky because school lunch here is free to all children, which that is great. But it's what they call nutritional, I feel like, is the option. Like it's not what they say it is. Like, because it's free, we should be grateful and just take it as it is. When I had learned that they were just offering sweet pea yogurt every day for lunch and no one had told me, is kind of where I started having to advocate for her. Because if you tell me that there's options, gluten-free options, I kind of expect you to have it. Now, it was an adjustment, and Sweet Pea is not very open to trying new things. But because she had to go gluten-free, us as a family switched to gluten-free options, so we did the journey together. Again, while my concerns weren't being heard from through the school, and the principal wasn't getting back to me, I did jump over her and I went to the Board of Education, and I went to other people who were willing to hear my concerns. Because if you're just going to continue to feed my daughter yogurt without having any gluten-free options, then we got problems. Now, again, people were just saying, make her lunch, it's the easiest thing to do. I get that. It was the easiest thing to do. But again, if there was a day that I couldn't send my child to school with lunch, essentially, what would she have? Apparently, I was the only parent being difficult, because while they had numerous children with celiac disease, they were being provided lunch by their parents, which, great. The point I was trying to make is, if I couldn't send my daughter to school with lunch, what were you going to provide her? It was then, after I guess they had gotten back to the principal, that I was contacting other people. She then had time to speak with me, thank me for advocating for my child, then saying she was going to put me in touch with the lunch people. Okay, great. So we came together to try and put a menu together. Now, we had not much options. My daughter ended up eating the same thing every other day. I had learned that their pizza, I guess, was just a tortilla with some pasta sauce on it and cheese. But again, it was just hard because Kalei is a very picky person, and going from having everything in the world to eat to gluten-free was just a big adjustment. Did I end up sending her to school with lunch? Yes. It was rare, but I did. So yeah, and we continued on. When we went to her specialist for the last time, it was a new specialist because the doctor that she had left, so we had a new one. And we had did a test. I think it was a blood test. It was a blood test to see if she had any type of gluten intolerance or whatever the sort was. And she didn't. She didn't have anything of the sort. Also, during that process, they made her potty train again because they blamed her for having issues with her stomach. Essentially, they said as kids, because they hold their pee and their poop, they're the reason why they have issues, is what he said. So he wanted her to potty train again. He wanted her to sit on the toilet for 20 minutes in the morning and 20 minutes at night. And then we switched it to sitting on the toilet once after she's done eating, after every meal, is what they wanted to do to train her body to go to the bathroom, because it was her fault that she couldn't go to the bathroom. After potty training, and that didn't do anything of the sort, we hit a dead end again. But she was also misdiagnosed. So everything I did, not saying that I did it for no reason, but I had to go back and get everything switched because she was misdiagnosed. And that's kind of the story and how it went. So thank you guys for listening. Bye guys.